and welcome to the Prometheus section of the Phyre GLIDE in the linear civilized variations section. The Phyre GLIDE actually sprung from the idea of the one-person toggle drill. With the linear versions, the Phyre Plow, Phyre SAW, Phyre Thong, you're very limited. There's only a core 2. And what I wanted to do was do something like how I could test different density woods, much like the one-person toggle drill. See, in my giant pressure lever brace box, I could just keep going up densities all the way up to the top. So we did, hickory, oaks, and then we went up to ebony, lignum vitae, and then we did what was most likely the hardest wood in the world, bull oak from Australia, and all of them successes. So in theory, if you balance all the variables, and in this case it's especially pressure, regardless of the density, you can get any wood in the world going. So I wanted to do something similar with a linear version, not just a drill version, and that leaves out Phyre Plow, and that leaves out Phyre Thong, because Phyre Thong, there's only 2 materials we know that can be used, bamboo and rattan. So that's kind of out the door right away. Phyre Plow, you're limited to the very low density end of materials in order to even have that possible. So that's out of the question. So that leaves Phyre SAW. But again, knowing that it's basically not within human limits to do something like ebony, lignum vitae, bull oak with a bow drill, where it's just the human ability to keep something stable and with human pressure. Therefore, there is the pressure lever brace box, because I could put massive amounts of weight on there, and I could get as much force as I need with the toggle drill, and be able to go for longer periods of time. That is not possible with a bow drill, and it's not possible with an Egyptian drill, really, because you just can't sustain that amount of pressure, human-wise, over a duration of time. So I needed to come up with a linear version of what would be a toggle drill pressure lever brace box, and what I came up with was what I call the Phyre GLIDE, because it had to fit somewhere in the alphabet, because I'm creating an alphabet list. So how this works is, let me take the camera off, and I'll show you how this worked with the pictures. In my Phyre Dojo, up top here on one of the top beams, I placed a pine stud. It's a 2x3, and this is bolted to the top brace here. Never mind the pulley. It's this we're looking at. Okay, and you can see there's a hole here, and the Phyre GLIDE fits through here. This is the Phyre GLIDE. So this is the top. Okay, so in between this crease here, this opens up, okay, and this piece that we're looking at here fits in between here and is held in place with this screw and nut. set. Okay, this hangs down. Okay, so this will be connected here. This hangs down, and sorry about that. This bar is also screwed and bolted in here. This is my handle here. And here, underneath here, I have a Phyre SAW placed inside a groove. Okay. And this is our base. Alright. So let me put the camera down again. So how this works is, this is hung up here, and the arm rests across the table this way. The base, which is in this case a trough method, this is a piece of pine stud, rests here. And the blade here rests on the base. So the question is, how do I get massive amounts of pressure? Well, underneath the table, I'll hang some weights. So this end here that has this cord, it hangs through the hole in the table like this. And down below, underneath the table, connected to the cord, is a massive amount of weight. So why this arm? Well, let's look at the physics. Let's say this is the saw blade that goes across, connected to the arm. Well, here I have massive amount of weight wanting to pull this down. This way. Wants to go down. Well, this side wants to come up. Well, the arm connected to the brace above, okay, keeps the arm in place. Keeps it in one spot. It doesn't let it go up. It just keeps it right there. So when I slide this back and forth, the weight is constantly on this end, and the arm controls the space of this side so it doesn't go flying up. And therefore, we have a how in the drill methods the axis is very important. Well, in the linear methods, the line is very important. So when you're doing plow, it's the line. When you're doing saw, it's the line. The fire thumb is the only variable of that, variation of that, because it goes in a circular motion, although technically it's like a linear. So, alright. So, first one I ever did is this is a willow from my backyard, from the tree. And first coal, first try, March 27th, 2011. And I did it at midnight, because I do things at all kinds of weird hours. And you can see it was done on a pine hearth, and that was this. Right across here. Here's where I got it. So what we're going to do is we're going to recreate this. We're going to do it again. First one with the willow. And so this whole thing was designed really to test woods. So we're going to test some other woods after we recreate this one, and I show you how that was done, and we'll just take it from there. Alright, so once I get all this set up, I'm going to show you the weights below, how the arm slides back and forth, all that stuff. Okay, alright, be right back. So here the Phyre GLIDE arm is bolted to the top beam. Okay. comes down here, and this is the arm that swings like this way. And like I mentioned, this arm here holds this side down, controls this space this way, because the weight here, which goes through the table, there's weights that are going to be down below. This makes this side want to flip up, and that's what the arms keep that from happening. Now as we flip this up and look underneath, okay, get rid of this cord here. Alright. Now I have this area marked in red here. This is the length of where the blade is supposed to go. As you can see, it says 7.5 inches. And that's the length of what the blade needs to be. And this fits just like that in there. And that gets wedged in there. And it sits in there. Now, as you can see, it has the concave curve in it from the friction. So what I'm going to do is clean this up, straighten this, put this straight across again, fix it up, and we're going to use this same blade along with the same base. So this blade will go in here like this. It's not wedged in there now, but and then it'll go across our base just like that, and the weights will attach down below just like that. Okay, all right, let me finish getting set up and let's keep going. Okay, so I'm setting up my Phyre GLIDE. Now underneath here, I've placed a shelf. This is a 2x4, and it's held up with 2 more 2x4s, and it's held in place to these bars here, which help hold up the table, with a bungee cord. Okay, and there's a hole here on this shelf. A nail goes through there, and I'll show you why. I have a ground stake here. Alright, it's a short one, and it has holes in it. And where's my nail? So what'll happen is the nail goes through that hole and through the hole on the shelf, and then that won't go anywhere. That'll control the space that way. It'll stay just like that. Then I'm going to take these weights, and the weights go onto the stake. Then with these other holes here, okay, I take a S hook, and the hook goes through the hole, and the cord that goes through the table goes to the S hook. Okay. And the weights are held up by the cord to the S hook to the stake, and the stake is holding the weights. Let me put this whole thing together for you so you can see how that looks, and then I'll put my blade on. Okay, be right back. Okay, so I've put the weights on. See, here there's a nail. I know it's kind of hard to see. There's a nail that goes through the stake, through the shelf, Okay. The stake comes down, and here the weights are 10 kilos, and the other one is 6.5 kilos, and the other one is 4 kilos. So as you can see, the cord goes to the S-hook, which kind of latches onto one of the holes. The cord goes up through the table to the arm, and I've put the I've straightened out the blade, and I've put the willow back on. Now here I've formed a groove on this. We're going to do a new base. I put the first base aside. I'm just going to leave it as a souvenir. So here's a new pine stud. The trough is cut on my table saw. I put a groove in here with round file there, so that the blade will have the space is controlled, so the blade doesn't just go flying around in there. Let's put a little bit of jute inside there to catch everything. Let's put the blade on the groove. There we go. Alright. And we're just about ready to get started. I think the base has to get moved over. You can see that the blade is tilting forward a little bit. The base, I believe, has to be moved over to here in order for it to be centered better. So I'm going to do that first. Be right back. Okay, I've moved the base over a couple inches, and that looks more horizontal. That looks a little better. And so if I move this back and forth here, I think that should do the trick. Alright, so let me get set up here, and we're going to give it a shot. Be right back. Actually, another thing I did was put a half-inch board, pine board, underneath the base to raise it up even more, to make it even more horizontal. So I think we're ready to begin. Alright. So I grab my handles and just kind of warm it up. Going. There's our coal. And there you go. That's the Phyre Glide. So that was willow on pine. Let's see if we can get that out of there. There, now it's got more air. Phyre GLIDE. Interesting, right? So, also another inspiration for this Phyre GLIDE is, I should say was from the Australian Aborigines. When they do Phyre SAW, a lot of times it can be a two-man operation, and so there's two guys, one on each side of the blade, one guy on this side, one guy on this side, and they're both sawing across a softwood shield. But so my thoughts were, well, there's two things. Obviously, they're using an economy of energy. They're helping each other out. Obviously, it's to their mutual benefit to help each other, obviously. And let me move this over so you can see. It's to their mutual benefit to help each other, but it's a lot like the Maasai in Africa, where they'll help each other with the hand drum. So the Aborigines, they help each other with the Phyre SAW. But the thing is that's kind of got me thinking that if I wanted to do some wood I've never done that I want to experiment with, especially one of a higher density, how would I do that without another person? And that's really how I came up with the Phyre GLIDE. How can I make another person on the other side, both of us applying an extreme amount of weight? So the weights down below are the weights that we would both apply together, and this arm, in a sense, holds everything in place. Because like I said before, this part wants to flip up from the weight on this side. So, and there we go. Let's keep going. Next on our list is some ash. And this was one of the tool handles that I got at the hardware store. Some pieces left over. We're going to turn these into blade and base and try it on the Phyre GLIDE. Ready? Here we go. Alright, welcome to our next Phyre GLIDE. And today we're doing ash. Here I have a blade of ash. This was a tool handle. And here I have a base of ash. These are 3/8 inch holes. As you can see, there's nothing in the notch. This pine base raises up the level to where it needs to be. But also under here, you see I carved out a space for air to get in, as well as to put in a little bit of tinder to just catch some dust, but really to allow for air circulation. So let's get this set up. Now, ash is approximately 1,320 on the Jonka test, although I don't know that for a fact with this wood since I didn't test it. But that's a pretty high number there. So let's set up our weights. We have 20.5 kilos on here set up. Let's put the blade in the groove. Now what I'm going to do is move this bucket away. And that puts all the weight on the blade. So let's see. I think we're ready to give this a shot. So we have to get this mated, warmed up. Have a look, pick up the weights. I think we got us a coal. If I could carefully knock that out. We got us a coal. Okay. Carefully, carefully. Don't get excited. Very nice. I want it to glow. I have to see it. There we go. Ash Phyre GLIDE. Technically it's a Phyre SAW method, but it can be done. 20.5 kilos of weight. And there you go. An approximate 1300 Jaka level. All right, let's keep going.